Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 45. Today is Tuesday, June 3rd, 2014, and let me grab some coffee. I am pretty tired today, but I'm recording anyways because I figure it's a good way to spend a tired day. I ended up having an extremely exciting and exhausting long weekend. My husband and I ended up spending it in the Dallas Metroplex area, and um, for an introvert like me, I am so excited that I get to be alone and all by myself for as much as I want to be today. So we shall see what the results of that trip end up being, but for now I'm not really going to talk too much about it aside from the fact that I'm exhausted. Like so exhausted that like there were times when I was just sort of sitting around and like I should be knitting, but I'm too tired to even think about knitting. So it'll be fine, but it's just sort of the craziness where it's just like, ah. So I did end up getting a decent amount of knitting done this week. So that was pretty cool. And it was the case where I think a lot of what fed into how exhausting the weekend was how exhausted we were getting ready for the weekend, too. So, what was it? I don't know. I guess it must have been on Thursday. On Thursday, I finished the first of the Marie socks. So this is a pattern by Stephanie van der Linden. I am knitting these for my husband because he thinks socks with lizards on them are cool. And I probably actually am going to rip out the toe and redo it, but I haven't had a chance for him to try it on. Oh, I need to drop the coffee. It's only my second cup today. It's pretty much lunchtime now, so whatever. So this is the Maritz sock. I ended up forgetting the book, so I think the toe is like ridiculously pointy. So I am going to have to probably rip out to the appropriate number of decreases and redo the decreases. I didn't do enough. I did too many of the every other and not enough of the every round ones to create the round toe. So as a result, it's probably not actually going to fit him. But I don't know, whatever. So I need to have my needles clear. So I haven't started the second one. There we go. Man, I'm a little bit disjointed today. Don't worry about it. So it has the cool little lizard on the foot and the cool little lizard on the heel. It fits me fairly well aside from being too long, which is good because that is the way it tends to work with socks for my husband. So coming along pretty nicely. So, and I haven't really sat down and figured out how much yarn it is that I use and stuff like that, but it shouldn't be a big deal to figure that out. And then maybe I can have a good way of quantifying what I'm doing for stash for these, because I think these will end up being quite a bit of yardage for the total. I think I was a little bit conservative in my estimate for how much this was going to count for. But it has been a pretty long project just because it demands so much attention. So, oh well, such is life. So, and I ended up having to do maybe about an inch. You can see maybe the thick section of the red stripe before I could get into the toe decreases. So I don't know if it's just a case where using size 0 needles, like maybe my stitch gauge wasn't too crazy, but maybe my row gauge is really condensed or something like that, because it wasn't nearly long enough for that sort of thing. Like bugs floating around here. And actually, it's sort of strange because, oh, what is it? Like, my video was frozen, but I don't think it'll be a big deal. Silliness. So, this is coming along. I ended up starting 2 new things. And really, one of them isn't even necessarily starting something new so much as redoing something old. So what I have here is the beginning of the bodice of the alfalfa sweater. So for those of you guys who've been watching this was a project that I had started last summer out of my Woolmisa pure or 100%, depending on when you got into it, yarn. And it is a sweater with like a scoop neck, 3/4 length sleeves, and then some lace detail on the sleeves and on the lower, the cast off edge. And so so right now what I'm doing is I'm redoing the bodice. I'm still not to the stitch count yet where I would separate for, or not that I would separate for this, I'm not to the stitch count yet where I would, I'm not to the stitch count where I would start casting on stitches to create the, to create the scoop neck. So right now I'm just working flat. Once I create the scoop neck, it'll be knitting in the round, so that'll be nice. And then I'll get enough stitches to do the sleeves. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of surgery. So I'm not sure whether or not you guys will be able to see this. I'm hoping that maybe with the daylight it might be easier to see. But there's a pretty clear color line shift between, yeah, I don't know whether or not you guys can see that or not, but there's a color shift about here between this like lighter section that I'd knit the bodice in and the sleeves, and I don't know whether or not you would be able to tell on the sleeves. There's also a line here, and so it used pretty much exactly 2 skeins of yarn to knit. So my plan is to see if I can do sweater surgery on it and graft the sleeves onto this new bodice, and then graft the body onto the new bodice. And then if it all works, I'll probably end up ripping out the bottom edging, making the sweater a little bit longer, alternating skeins like a fiend, and and then make it a little bit longer and then put the lace detail back on the bottom again. So it is a really fetching sweater, so I'm excited to be able to work on it, but I'm just, a little bit annoyed that I ended up getting bitten by not alternating skeins, and I should have known to do it. So the Deersuit level 1 definitely notices that there's a color shift, so. But he might be more attuned to details than most people are. Nevertheless, it's something that needs to happen. So, and it will end up being, I don't know, at least 1,000 yards for Stash Dash. So it'll be the case where doing this will be a little bit of knitting, a lot of sweater surgery, and I think it'll turn out really well. And I'll be more willing to wear the sweater, just because it's frustrating when you're making something and then it doesn't really turn out the way you planned. So I brought this along with me on the trip and then never worked on it, but this is how much I've gotten done since I finished all of those socks last week. So coming along slowly but surely. And this is, the pattern is alfalfa, It is by Mary Annarella, and it is a really great pattern. If you're thinking about doing a fingering weight sweater, I would say the pattern's totally worth the money because there's a lot of information about modifying the pattern to make it fit you better. So it was a tremendous resource. And then, like, not written necessarily, this is the way it's got to be. It's more written in terms of conversational. If you sort of like this, if you sort of like that. So it's maybe more Elizabeth Zimmerman style in terms of discussing modifications, but I think that ends up making it much easier to read in that regard. So I ended up shoving the balls of yarn in my bag because I was, whatever, packing it all up because I realized I wasn't going to work on it on the trip anymore. So that brings me into project number 3. Oh dear, I have a lot of projects on my needles right now. I probably should have just worked on the sweater and not cast on something new, but I needed something really mindless, and perhaps it wasn't even mindless enough for what I was doing. So I ended up casting on my Walk on the Newbum shawl. So I'd finished the socks Friday night, I finished the socks. I finished that sock on Thursday night, and then I had brought my Alfaba reknit in for knitting and worked on that quite a bit. But then, like, Friday morning and afternoon, when I was, whatever, finishing all the details for the trip and stuff like that, making sure I had everything packed that I needed and stuff like that, I was like, I want to knit a Newbum. Newbum is a pattern by Martina Bem, and so the only way that I think that I would stay interested in knitting a giant Wilmisa blankie is if there's a pattern. So as you guys know, I've knit 2 Walk on the Moons, and I am now mashing up the pattern with Walk on the Moon with the Newbum set of basically the set of increases that you use in order to make that pointed shape. So I am using 3 different colors from the stash. I'm using Graph Rats, which is a gray with like tones of blue in it. I'm using Magnolia Dark, which is a maroon with purples and pinks in it. It's very pretty. I really like this colorway a lot. And then my other color is going to be Piney. And Piney is sort of a foresty middle green, and it also has a tonalness to it, but not nearly as much as the Magnolia does. Oh, and the Magnolia is Magnolia Dark, if I haven't mentioned that already. And so what I'm doing with the Newbum is I'm starting with the Magnolia Dark because I had about 141 grams of that. I'm then going to move into the gray, which is the Graph Rats, which I do have at least one little garter stripe in the pattern done so far. And then do the Piney, and then my last color will then, which will be the ruffle, will be the Magnolia Dark again. So I figured that it was going to be very lovely. And I'll have to be keeping probably a fairly close eye on making sure that I have enough yarn and all that other fun stuff. And I am working in the round now. I didn't end up spending too much time doing 2 circs, but what I have so far is I have my center portion, and then I have this garter ridge here. And I thought that it was time to do another garter ridge, but I looked at the pattern and it was actually a completely different stitch, and I did it like 6 rows too early, and it's a little bit, what is it, harder to keep track of the pattern because the pattern is written in a way that is supposed to be knit flat, and I'm working in the round. And so then in order to do the mashup, what I'm doing is I'm following the chart exactly. But I'm following the pattern repeat in the chart exactly. I am completely ignoring any requests for increases. The increases I'm doing are following the Newcomb pattern. And so what you do is you cast on 50 bajillion stitches using Judy's Magic Cast On. And I ended up using a size 2 or US 2 needle to do the cast on. And then I just basically used my longest cable in my Xiaogu set and then just sort of magic looped that sort of thing, or cast it on like it was magic loop. And then I knit off all of the stitches using a pair of 4s. So that ended up working out fairly well. And what is it? So how many rows am I now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that count seems to be different. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Okay, so I am, whatever, I guess I'm at row 10 or something like that, so whatever. And I swore that I was at 11 last night, but I was pretty tired last night, so. So then I'm going to do basically this transition from the maroon color to the gray color, which will be fine. And then from the gray color to the green color, and then from green back to the maroon. So I think it'll tie it together nicely. I'm looking forward to doing it. And I think that is everything there. So it, where I'm doing the increases ends up creating this basically nice little detail there. And there is still quite a bit of knitting left to do on this, so I'll probably end up weighing my pile of balls of yarn again, just to maybe keep track of where I stand and where I'm going to be. Because since I am just using these sort of random balls of yarn that are leftovers from the Graph Rats and the Piney came from set number 7, which also had the Pistazi colorway, which I ended up using pretty much all of it in my other 2 Walk on the Moon shawls. So it's definitely coming together. It looks like my next row is going to be an increased row. And it is incredibly mindless, but there reached a point even this weekend where it was so mindless, but I still was just too tired to even knit, so oh, exhaustion. But I figure that since it seems like most of the people in the Wool My Set for All Seasons group would cast on a Nubum in preparation for a plane trip, so it just felt very traditional and right to cast on my own Nubum for my own whatever trip on an airplane. So that is the story there. So this project's going to take a pretty long time to knit. Like, I am let's see what chart. I'm still on chart 1. I am on probably, I'm going to be starting row 32. 32 out of, what is it, 168. So there is still quite a bit left to go, but it will end up creating a pattern like this. Just waiting for it to show up on the screen. I don't know, my computer probably is in need of a restart or something like that. It seems to be having a rough time today, but that is the story there, is that I am probably about here where my finger is on this chart. Let's see if I'm actually holding it up high enough. So I'm about there on all of this chart, so this one's going to take a while. I don't know that now that I'm done with all of this trip stuff, that then it would make sense to just focus more on the alfaba and get it done. We shall see. Oops, I just spilled coffee all over my leg. So I do have, and that's it for the knitting. So you're probably going to be seeing a lot of those things for a while, but such is life. I did end up finishing a skein of yarn. So I was working on the chocolate Shetland fleece. So this is my 4th skein. It is a little bit more than 2 ounces, which I was a little bit surprised about because I thought I was going to be like exactly at 2 ounces. So this is, so I had washed this Friday because I ended up doing a bunch of socks and other such things. I ended up, laying out the Strand Wanderer to washing it and all the other fun stuff. So this is the skein here. It is actually the most yardage that I've gotten so far in the spin, which was maybe a little bit surprising to me. And this is my cable ply from the chocolate Shetland fleece that I ended up buying from my friend Brooke. It is, what is it? So this is 98.5 yards of a cable ply. And I guess I haven't really held it up to the other skeins to try to puzzle over whether or not it is a very different weight or if I have some underweight skeins or something like that. But this is maybe a bit about what it looks like. It's a bear to photograph. Like, I just can't take a good picture of this stuff just because it's so dark. But I don't know if you guys can maybe get a sense for what it looks like. It smells like my, what is it? I use soak. So, and what is it? So it's incredibly balanced. I was really happy. Like, this is not even a twist in it. So it ended up, I didn't even thwack this. What's wrong with me? I didn't even set the twist. Oh well. So that is the story there. So it's been, whatever, a good little spin. Now I'm actually gonna put this on pause. Hey guys, welcome back. I had to turn off the recording because my neighbor was having their lawn mowed and it was just pretty loud. So I finished talking about the chocolate Shetland fleece. I started, or I'm working on another spinning project now, which isn't the fleece. I am spinning the Nest Fiber Club braid from May. So this is thinking about that. I should be getting a shipment probably soon for the June colorway. But I know, no stash positions this week. But so this is the Nest Fiber Club in the Primavera color. Currently I'm in a section which is oranges and browns and reds. And I ended up getting a lot of spinning done on this Friday. I didn't end up bringing spinning with me on the trip. I decided I had enough stuff along anyways, so I'm just sort of looking at the floofiness of this. So it is quite pretty. It's turning out to be one of the softest singles I've ever spun. Since it's superwash merino, I can't keep it as a single. I'm planning on fractal spinning this. Oops, sorry there. So I still have a lot left because it's spinning fairly thin. I was hoping to spin a thicker single to get sport weight, but I'm just gonna do what it wants to do and enjoy the journey. But it is very floofy, very soft. And it's been interesting so far to spin. I've been trying to keep the color repeats close together, but obviously I'm going to be getting into a large section of white pretty soon. So who knows how it's going to end up turning out. And then I'm going to go back through, I think, the color progression I've done so far. So, so it's been turning out nicely. You can like see the crimp in this. It's so cool. It's not super duper crimpy, but maybe you can sort of see like the gentle waves and stuff like that. So I am very happy with how it is turning out. So, and I'll probably end up doing some spinning today, just because it's a lovely day out. I was thinking it was going to be too hot to record, and after sitting outside for a little while, it was no problem whatsoever. So that is lovely. So and that'll be, I think, a project for a bit of time, just because it's been taking, or I'm spinning it thin, so it's going to take a while. I did decide, I did end up signing up for a team for Tour de Fleece. I'm going to be a part of the Completely Twisted and Arbitrary team. I'm going to be spinning, or while I was waiting for the lawnmower to finish, I ended up signing up. So, like, stuff happening in the middle of the podcast, craziness. So I'm planning on, I think my goal is to spin one of these skeins a week out of the chocolate Shetland fleece. So I think that'll end up getting me, what is it? It'll get me much closer to a pound of total spinning for the sweater. And what is it? So that is the story there, is that I think that's what I'm going to end up doing, which means that I might end up putting the nest aside in order to do the Tour de Fleece stuff. I'm not sure. But I figure there is plenty of stuff that I want to do, so it's just a matter of prioritizing and making sure I get everything worked on with or get this fleece finished, so that I can start on the next fleece and all of the exciting possibilities that go from there. I did end up deciding to bring my weaving project out. It's such a beast. So I'm waiting for the screen to come up so I can tell how much I'm showing. So, rotate. Hopefully it's not too crazy making. So this is the weaving that I have done so far. Oh wait, you can't see. Can't see the weaving. Alright, can you see that now? Yeah. So this is what I have so far. I haven't done an awful lot of weaving. I probably need to move, or I need to suck in more of whatever I've done, so that I have a bit more room to get the shuttle through, because my shuttle is here, and it is extremely full. So even though normally this would be enough space here for me, normally this would be enough space for me to get a shuttle through, I just have so much yarn on this that it's sort of hard. And it's just the case where I am just going through and weaving a little bit and then walking away and doing something else. So it's I just have it sitting out in the living room, and then whenever the mood strikes me, I go out and do it. So we'll see how it goes. It's not a portable project at all, so it's just the case where be like, oh, I should weave a little bit, and I'll weave an inch, and then go about whatever I normally do. So not a big deal there. I'm out of coffee. I didn't end up making more coffee. There are no stash positions. I'm not going to talk too much more about my trip. What is it? So what's coming up this week is that we ended up needing to cancel a visit with one of our friends. We've been trying to get him out here since February, but he's going to be coming this weekend, so that's going to be quite a bit of fun to be able to see him and catch up and all that other fun stuff. But I think quite suddenly the podcast is over. I'm planning on recording again June 10th. And there are probably a lot of things I need to accomplish today, so it might end up being this episode gets put up late, but such is life. and I don't have plans for starting new things. I'll probably next week I'll be showing you whatever fiber I end up getting for the fiber club, and strangely enough, it's probably going to be the case where I end up like what is it? Hopefully it'll be the case where I get it like very early this week, so then it won't necessarily be a spoiler sort of situation. And what else? I don't think there's anything else this week, so oh, there is something else. Oh my gosh. So then Saturday was the end of the Oldest Anything Cal, and I ended up managing to close the thread, so that we ended up having 14 people enter for prizes. So I ended up doing the random number generator for numbers between 2 and 15, because my post didn't count. And so I had to laugh a little bit when I ended up picking the winner. The winner is Linda, which is LME Call, or LMECOLL. And Linda was actually the winner the last time that I did a prize drawing too. So post number 2 won. Linda ended up knitting one of Lauren Nelkin's Pioneer cuffs, and I'm not remembering her justification for why it was old, but it's no big deal. I remember reading it, I just don't remember off the top of my head. So congratulations, Linda. I actually do have your address still from when I sent you the prize last year, so I'll be putting the skein of absinthe in the mail for you. So congratulations on winning. So I also wanted to say I am so thrilled with how many people participated and how many people dug through their stash to find something cool to make with it. So I hope you guys had as much fun with the knit along as I did. I know it was it was great to host this Cal with Emily of the Watch This Watchin' podcast. She's incredibly sweet, so I was glad to have that opportunity. So thanks for participating, everyone, and Linda, I hope you really enjoy your prize. So I think that's everything now. I would have felt pretty bad if I had totally forgotten to do the drawing. And I ended up taking a screenshot of the random number generator, so silliness. So what is it? So thanks for continuing to watch me, and I hope everyone has a really wonderful week. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.